My brother Alex always had a way of taking what wasn't his. When we were kids, he'd take my toys, claiming he deserved them more. In high school, he took my college fund because he needed it for his future. But this time he went too far. He took my entire life savings, $127,000 that I had carefully set aside over 5 years of working double shifts and sacrificing every comfort. I discovered it on a quiet Tuesday morning. My bank account, which I'd been monitoring religiously as it grew closer to my dream of opening my own business, was empty. Just zeros where my hopes and dreams had been stored. At first I thought it was a mistake. Then I saw the transfer record, all to one destination, wedding venue deposit, Crystal Lake Manor. My hands shook as I dialed Alex's number. He answered on the third ring, his voice casual as if he hadn't just destroyed 5 years of my life. "Oh, Emma finally noticed," he chuckled. "I was wondering when you'd call." "Alex, that was my entire savings," my voice cracked. "How could you? How did you even get access? Mom gave me your account details. Remember when you made her your emergency contact? She thought it was the right thing to do. After all, Jessica and I need a proper wedding venue. You know how her family is, all old money and expectations." I felt sick. Our mother, who had always favored Alex, had helped him steal from me. "You need to return it. Now." "Sorry, sis. Non-refundable deposit." His voice turned cold. "Besides, what were you going to do with it anyway? Open that little cafe you keep talking about? Please. You'll never amount to anything anyway. At least this money is going to something worthwhile. Making sure Jessica's family sees that we Prestons belong in their world." I sat there, foam pressed to my ear as my brother effectively told me my dreams meant nothing compared to his social climbing ambitions. "The wedding's in 3 weeks," he continued, almost bored. "Don't bother coming if you're going to make a scene. Jessica's family doesn't need to see any unfortunate displays." He hung up, leaving me alone with the reality that my own family had betrayed me. What Alex didn't know, what none of them knew, was that while they were busy underestimating me, I had been quietly building something of my own. That cafe dream? It was just a cover story. 3 years ago I had started buying and renovating small event venues. The first was a tiny garden space I got for almost nothing because it needed so much work. I poured every spare minute into fixing it up, learning everything I could about the events industry along the way. That venue led to another, then another. I operated under an LLC name, keeping my identity private. No one in my family knew that Preston Ventures LLC had grown into one of the most successful event venue companies in the state, including Crystal Lake Manor, the very venue where Alex and Jessica were planning their dream wedding. I pulled up my laptop and logged into the venue management system. There it was, a booking under Preston Montgomery Wedding. Jessica's father had spared no expense, adding every premium package available. For a moment I considered canceling the booking right then. But no, that would be too easy. Alex and Jessica's wealthy families needed to learn a lesson about judging people by appearances. I picked up my phone again, this time calling my assistant. "Maria, remember that Preston Montgomery wedding booking for Crystal Lake?" "Of course, Miss Preston. The bride's father has been quite demanding about every detail. I think it's time I did a personal inspection of the venue. Schedule it for their final walkthrough next week." "The one where both families will be present?" "Exactly." I smiled, thinking of the contract sitting in my desk drawer, the one listing me as the sole owner of Crystal Lake Manor. "I believe it's time for a proper introduction." I spent the next week preparing. While Alex and Jessica celebrated with expensive dinners and parties, I reviewed every detail of their wedding contract. They had signed for our most exclusive package, nearly $200,000 for the venue and services alone. Mom called twice, probably to justify helping Alex steal my money. I didn't answer. Let them think I was sulking, broken. In 3 weeks they would learn exactly who they had underestimated. The day of the final walkthrough arrived bright and clear. I dressed carefully in a tailored suit that cost more than Alex's monthly salary, though he'd never know that. To him and my family I was still just Emma, the sister with the silly cafe dreams. As I drove to Crystal Lake Manor, I thought about all the times Alex had taken things from me, how our parents had always justified his actions. "He needs it more," they'd say. "You understand, don't you, Emma?" Well, they were about to understand exactly what their actions had cost them. I parked my car and watched the Montgomery's fleet of luxury vehicles arrive. Jessica stepped out of a Mercedes wearing designer clothes that probably cost more than what she thought I made in a month. Alex was right behind her, looking every bit the social climber in his new suit. Our parents arrived last, my mother already fawning over Jessica's family. Time to show them who really belonged in this world. I waited until they were all gathered in the grand entrance hall, Alex bragging about how he'd secured such an exclusive venue. Then I walked in, my heels clicking on the marble floor. "Welcome to Crystal Lake Manor," I said, watching their faces turn toward me in confusion. "I believe it's time we discussed some changes to your contract." The silence that fell over the grand entrance hall was absolute. Alex's mouth hung open, his practiced sophistication crumbling as he stared at me. Jessica's perfectly manicured hand clutched her designer purse, her eyes darting between me and her future in-laws. "Emma." My mother's voice quavered. "What are you doing here? This is a private event." I smiled, the kind of smile I'd learned from years of business negotiations. "I'm well aware, Mother. As owner of Crystal Lake Manor, I make it a point to personally oversee our most interesting bookings." Owner. Jessica's father, Richard Montgomery, stepped forward. He was exactly what you'd expect from old money, tailored suit, steel gray hair, and an air of authority that usually went unchallenged. "There must be some mistake. We've been working with Preston Ventures LLC. "Precisely." I pulled out my business card, crafted from heavy stock with gold lettering. "Emma Preston, CEO and founder of Preston Ventures LLC. We own not just Crystal Lake Manor, but 7 other luxury venues across the state." The color drained from Alex's face as the implications sank in. He'd stolen my savings to impress these people, never realizing I was already in their world. Above it, actually. "That's impossible," he stammered. You were saving for a cafe." "A cover story," I said simply. "I learned early on that people underestimate what they don't see as a threat. Speaking of which, let's discuss the recent unauthorized access to my personal account." Jessica's mother gasped. "Alexander, what is she talking about?" I opened my tablet, pulling up the banking records. 3 weeks ago, $127,000 was transferred from my personal savings account to Crystal Lake Manor's booking system. The transfer was authorized using credentials stolen from my emergency contact information. "It wasn't stealing," my mother interjected, her voice shrill. "Alex needed it for the wedding." "You've always been so selfish, Emma. Your brother deserved." "Deserved what exactly?" I cut her off. "The right to steal from me? To dismiss my dreams while using my money to fund his social climbing." Richard Montgomery's face had turned an interesting shade of red. "Jessica, is this true? Was your wedding venue booked with stolen money?" Jessica's perfect composure cracked. "Daddy, I didn't know. Alex said he had savings." "Oh, he had savings," I smiled coldly. "Mine." I turned to Maria, who had quietly appeared at my side. "Please pull up the original contract for the Preston Montgomery wedding." She handed me a leather portfolio. I opened it, removing the contract that Alex and Jessica had signed with such pride. According to Section 7.3, any evidence of fraudulent payment or illegal activity renders this contract null and void. "You can't do this." Alex lunged forward, but Jessica's father held him back. "Actually, I can. And I should." I met each of their eyes in turn. "But I'm willing to offer an alternative arrangement." The room held its breath. Even the Montgomerys, used to being the most powerful people in any room, waited for my next words. Option 1. I cancel the contract, return the stolen funds to my account, and press charges for theft and fraud. Your perfect wedding dissolves and Alex faces potential jail time. My brother's face went from red to white. Our mother started to speak, but I held up my hand. Option 2. You return my money with interest, let's say an even $150,000. Alex publicly admits to his theft, and you all sign a new contract at double the original rate. After all, premium venues come with premium prices. "That's extortion," Alex sputtered. "No, brother dear. That's business." I handed him a pen. "You have 10 minutes to decide." Though I should mention, we're the only venue in the state that could host an event of this size on your chosen date. Jessica's family has already sent out the invitations, haven't they? The next few minutes were chaos. Jessica's parents huddled in a corner, furiously whispering. Our mother tried to approach me, but Maria smoothly stepped between us. Alex stood alone, his dreams of social elevation crumbling around him. Finally, Richard Montgomery stepped forward. We'll pay the new rate, he said stiffly, and ensure that the borrowed funds are returned immediately. Excellent choice. I produced a new contract. You'll find everything in order. As they signed, I noticed Jessica staring at me with a mixture of fear and fascination. She thought she was marrying into a family of social climbers, only to discover her future sister-in-law was the one holding all the cards. One more thing, I added as they finished signing. Alex is fond of taking things that don't belong to him. Consider this contract his last chance. Any future attempts to access my accounts or assets will result in immediate legal action. My brother wouldn't meet my eyes. Good. Let him remember this moment the next time he thought about taking something of mine. The wedding can proceed as planned, I continued, gathering the signed papers. Though I suggest you all remember something. Success isn't about who you know or what you take from others. It's about what you build for yourself. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Alex, remember what you said about me never amounting to anything? Next time, check who owns the building before you make assumptions. The aftermath was exactly what you'd expect. The wedding went ahead, though it was hardly the joyous occasion they'd planned. Alex and Jessica had to downgrade several elements to afford the new rate, and the Montgomery family treated them with notably less warmth. Our mother tried to apologize a week later, claiming she'd only wanted to help her son. I sent her response through my lawyer, a cease and desist letter and documentation of exactly how much money Alex had taken from me over the years. As for my business, the story somehow made its way through high society circles. Apparently, people were impressed by how I'd handled the situation. Our bookings doubled, then tripled. We acquired 3 more venues the following year. Sometimes I drive past Crystal Lake Manor at night, remembering how it felt to stand in that entrance hall and finally show my family who I really was. The venue is beautiful in the moonlight, its windows glowing softly, hosting other people's dream events. Alex and Jessica's wedding photos still hang in the venue's gallery, along with hundreds of others. But theirs has a special place, right next to my first business license and the original deed to the property. A reminder that sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about rising so far above those who doubted you that they can never reach you again. The last I heard, Alex had taken a job at one of Jessica's father's companies, a junior position with little chance of advancement. The Montgomerys never quite got over discovering their dream venue had been booked with stolen money. Me. I'm still buying venues, still growing my empire. But now everyone knows exactly who they're dealing with. No more cover stories, no more hiding my success. After all, I've learned that the best way to stop people from taking what's yours is to make sure they know exactly how much you're worth.